Hey everybody, it's me, Sierra, the pool toy. How are you doing today? How you feeling? Are you feeling like maybe you're a little bit physically exhausted? Are you having trouble concentrating and you just feel mentally drained? Have you just been doing too much too fast and now you don't really know how you feel? Well, to me it just kind of sounds like burnout. And I was just thinking that maybe we could talk about it. You see, burnout can be caused by a few things. One, maybe you're just working too much at work and you're not able to get an appropriate amount of rest and sort of decompress during the work week. Or maybe you have extra projects that you've tacked onto yourself, like streaming or other hobbies that you work on and you're really trying to get off the ground as you're doing this work. And so now you end up working, instead of your normal work week, you're also working twice as much now because you have all this extra responsibility that you've put on yourself. It could also just be something like a social aspect where you don't feel like you have enough time to spend time with your friends, so every moment that you're not working, you're coming up with something to do with your friends. And that can be helpful, but at the same time, trying to keep up with every single person, that can also lead you to burnout. So how do you know if you're feeling burned out? Well, probably one of the biggest things is that you're just going to be tired. You're going to have trouble concentrating. You're going to be physically tired. The things that usually bring you joy, maybe those don't bring you much joy anymore. And you just sort of have this overwhelming feeling of just being done. Maybe you're feeling really cynical. Or maybe you're just completely unmotivated to do anything and you just feel sad. Like, those are probably some of the ways that you can really identify that you're feeling burned out, especially if you're dreading something that used to bring you joy, but now you don't want it. So that's definitely one of the ways that you're going to feel a little bit burned out. So burnout hits because everything's been piling up for a while. And you've just been going at 99 to 110% constantly. And so the first way that you deal with it is just recovering. You need rest. You need to take a step away from everything and sort of recharge your batteries. Because you can't be living your life on 1% as much as we try to do that with our phones. But you need to get back to 100%. Because when you're living with a dead battery, you're kind of useless for everything. You can't focus, so you can't really keep up with your thoughts. And physically, you're just beat. So even if it's something mindless, it's still going to feel like you're burned out. It kills your motivation. It does all this horrible stuff to you. But the very first thing you need to do once you recognize that you're burned out is that you need to stop. You need to rest. You cannot help people when you are empty. You can't give anybody a drink of water from an empty glass. And so I think it's really important that you stop everything you're doing. Take a quick inventory of what is and isn't going to kill you. And you just start cutting some of that stuff off so that you can actually start to rest. Give yourself some breathing room. You deserve it. But Sierra, you say, I don't have time for rest. I have too many things to do. A lot of people are counting on me. Well, I have good news for you. That's what setting boundaries is for. So, what's a boundary? Well, a boundary is you starting to say no to things so that you can protect your own space, protect your own time, protect yourself physically and mentally. And so it could be something like rejecting doing an extra task just because somebody asked you. It could be saying no to that person who's constantly vying for your attention. What you got to do is you just have to prioritize yourself a bit. Sort of, if you're burning out, you're no good to anybody. So prioritize yourself, and then you can prioritize the things of life. that you would like to do and get done. And, you deserve a chance to live the life that you want. But you got to work for it. At the very least, you got to give yourself a chance. And the only way to give yourself a chance is sometimes you have to establish your boundaries, focus on the things that are really important for your own life, and you just work from there. And sometimes you might disappoint somebody. Sometimes you might not get ahead as if you were gonna. So definitely try to establish your own boundaries so that you can start to recharge, feel a little bit better, and sort of achieve a workload that is a lot more manageable for you. Because when you're burning at 100 or 110%, you're not going to be able to keep up that pace. But if you can move it down to maybe 70%, 80%, or maybe your threshold's a little bit lower, you'll be able to keep at that pace. I would rather run at 80% for a whole year than run at 110% for a week. So I really hope that you start to establish some boundaries for yourself and you sort of are able to push back on some of these demands that life is making on you. Another way of relieving burnout is simply having some friends to reach out to. People who will lend an ear while you process through some of these emotions. Or maybe they'll have a different perspective on things that maybe you didn't think about. Or maybe they have some helpful advice, like a mentor who maybe they have some guidance on how you could manage your time a little bit better, on where you can establish more boundaries for yourself, and just being the kind of person that you can enjoy spending time with and really recharge your batteries with. It's important to have these kinds of friends, or at least being able to identify which of your friends are these kind of people. Because sometimes you might end up going to the wrong person with this. And so as long as you're going to the right people, and you'll find out who they are, it can really help you with your burnout. And you'll feel a lot better in general. Because that's mostly what this is about. It's that you've been working so hard, so focused on these things for yourself and for other people, just trying to get all this stuff done and keeping your head down, that you lost some of that intimate connection with others. And so it can be really, really cool and feel great to just be able to spend time with friends and not really push yourself to have to be super productive every moment of the day. Sometimes it feels just good to chill. I hope I've been a little bit helpful for you today, because I don't want you to be burned out. I don't want you to feel drained, exhausted, sick, stressed out, because it's not good for you. It's not good for the people around you. And so I hope that you really take to heart some of these things I've talked about, such as establishing boundaries, making sure you get enough rest, and just spending time with people that you care about. Because it is your life, and we get this one crack at it. And so I am very hopeful that you'll take this to heart and stop leading such a burned out, stressed out life and live for the better, living the life that you want to live, in the hopes that you'll be the person you want to be. Have a great night.